OnlyJayus might just be the biggest career crash TikTok has ever seen. 3 years ago, she was sitting on a throne of 18 million followers, pulling tens of millions of views like clockwork every time she posted. And it wasn't just views. She had a die-hard fan base that flooded her comment section with praise. But that's ancient history now. The shift in public opinion was so brutal that even her biggest fans started turning on her. You'll find comments like this under nearly all of her videos. "This is so sick. I used to stan her, but now I can't stand the frickin' sight of her." What makes this entire collapse even more shocking is the kind of content Jayus was known for. Basic life hacks and bite-sized psychology facts. The most unproblematic genre imaginable. Stuff you'd never expect to cause controversy.
So I'm 6'2", which is pretty tall for a girl. And a guy. I've had some experience growing, which is good, because I'm gonna help all you shorties out there, because here are 3 proven ways to grow taller. Wow. Drink milk, okay? Doesn't necessarily need to be cow's milk, you just need a daily intake of calcium, because that's what makes your bones grow. Swimming won't necessarily make you grow past your potential, but because when you're in the pool, gravity's kind of taken away from your spine, so swimming won't decrease your height or damage your growth plates like other exercises will. Make sure you stretch, okay? Certain stretches like toe touches, overstretch, rollovers, and bar hang. They all improve your posture and elongate your spine, thus making you taller. But really though, it all comes down to your DNA, so no matter how tall you are, just own it.
You've probably seen one of her viral videos without even realizing it.
You guys know that you can flip things in a pan by just flipping the pan? You've been using a can opener wrong this whole time, dude. It doesn't go sideways. It's supposed to go flat like this. And then you twist it along this way. Okay, so I just did the whole thing the flat way, and look, the can opens the correct way without having to dig your fingers around there. If you want to quickly stop a pot of water from boiling over, just put a wooden spoon on top of it. This works because the wood is hydrophobic, which means that it can't absorb the water, and instead it just punctures the surface tension of the bubbles.
So what the hell happened? It all started when an old screenshot resurfaced. Jayus using a racial slur towards someone she knew personally. But it wasn't just a slur. She didn't just use the hard R, she called the person a hard R lover. That's not just racist, that's malicious. And this wasn't some vague internet rumor, it was confirmed. Jayus herself admitted it, called her past self toxic, and issued a public apology.
I didn't even think that they were real because I forgot how hateful and how angry of a person I used to be, and it hurts my soul knowing that I said those things. But the screenshots and the things I've said in my past are not a reflection of who I am today.
At first, it looked like she might be growing from it, but that illusion didn't last long. Her apology came across less like remorse and more like damage control. A petition to ban her from TikTok started gaining traction, and within months, it had nearly 500,000 signatures. And then came the drama with another TikToker. It's Acrello, a black creator. In response to his criticism, Jayus referred to him as boy, a historically loaded term with roots in slavery. It's one of the most dehumanizing things you can say to a black person, especially in the US.
Boy is a racist term. The fact that you guys don't understand that, God bless your souls for not growing up and having to understand that level of racism, my man. But like, it is a racist term, my man. I'm just letting you know. I'm just keeping it real.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more to unpack, from her rise to her slow public implosion. So let's rewind and start from the beginning. How did OnlyJayus even become famous in the first place? Despite being widely known online as Jayus or OnlyJayus, her real name is Isabella Avila. She was born in Las Vegas and lived there during her early years until her parents got divorced. After that, she began moving back and forth between Vegas and New Jersey, where her mother resided. Eventually, she settled in Bakersfield, California to attend high school, a city infamous for its long-standing racial tensions, which becomes relevant later in her story. Even as a teenager, Isabella was obsessed with the internet. She had a deep interest in social media and was especially drawn to YouTube commentary channels. While still in high school, she launched her first YouTube channel and managed to rack up around 6,000 subscribers, an impressive number considering her age and the limited time she likely had outside of school. That early traction was a clear sign that she had the potential to blow up as a content creator one day. Fast forward a few years to 2019, Isabella heard about TikTok from her sister. The two made it a friendly competition to see who could gain more followers. Unsurprisingly, Isabella ended up crushing her sister in numbers. What made her account go viral, though, was nothing flashy. It was actually one of the most humble starts imaginable. At the time, she was working at Best Buy and even filmed some of her early TikToks while wearing her work uniform. But as her videos started taking off, her manager found out and told her to take down any videos with the uniform. She did, but still got fired anyway. That setback lit a fire under her. Within weeks of getting fired, her TikTok following skyrocketed past 1 million. From there, Jayus' career exploded. She was on a rapid upward trajectory, funneling her TikTok success into her YouTube channel and racking up over 4 million subscribers in just 2 years. But even during this peak, one thing became painfully clear. Jayus could not handle criticism. She was extremely reactive, even to the smallest, most harmless comments. In April 2019, she tweeted, "I constantly feel like nobody actually likes me. So when I see thousands of hate comments saying, 'Yeah, I never liked OnlyJayus, she is so annoying, Jayus seems like a horrible person,' that pushed me to the edge. From the very beginning, there were people who simply found her annoying. And while that's a petty reason to hate someone, Jayus didn't help herself. Instead of ignoring it and staying focused on her skyrocketing career, she constantly responded, broadcasting how deeply the hate affected her. And that's never a good move online. If you show people that their words get under your skin, they double down. This flaw, her inability to let things go, led directly to her first major feud with another TikToker named Acrello, who also had a decent following at the time. The drama started when their mutual friend, a creator named Connor, blocked Acrello and accused him of copying his content word for word.
This is my friend Connor. He introduced me to Acrello because we wanted to do some collab videos, but then Acrello ended up copying a couple of Connor's videos and then Connor blocked him. Acrello messaged me saying like, "Hey, why'd Connor block me?" I said he's pretty mad you copied his series. He went on this rant and I said, "I don't know, man, it's not my issue. I just know he's mad."
Confused by why Connor had blocked him, Acrello reached out to Jayus to see if she had any insight. Jayus explained the situation, which immediately upset Acrello, but things quickly escalated further. It turned out Jayus also held a personal grudge against Acrello, accusing him of copying her style of content. The irony couldn't be clearer, since both creators were essentially doing the exact same thing, reposting popular Reddit threads or quick psychological hacks they found on Google. Jayus acting as though she had some unique claim over such generic content was completely absurd. Making things even more intense, Jayus bluntly told Acrello that his career would be over in 6 months, a comment that clearly struck a nerve. 7 months later, after surpassing 2 million followers on TikTok, Acrello made a pointed video highlighting his achievement, emphasizing that he had succeeded despite another big creator predicting his career's downfall within 6 months. Even though Acrello clearly mentioned a big creator, he never explicitly named Jayus in his video. This drama could have easily faded away before it even started. But Jayus, notorious for her inability to ignore criticism or negativity, immediately jumped into the comments section. She fired back with a provocative comment. "Let's not forget the last time I made a video about what you did said. You deleted your whole account. Don't make me do it again, boy." Responding like this was probably the worst decision Jayus could have made. Acrello hadn't even directly mentioned her, so she could have just ignored it and moved forward. But instead she chose confrontation, a move that would later blow up disastrously in her face. Even more troubling was Jayus' use of the word boy, a term steeped in racist connotations, particularly toward black individuals in the United States. While calling someone racist based solely on one word might seem harsh, the context around Jayus makes this especially concerning. She herself acknowledged growing up in Bakersfield, a city notorious for racial tensions, leading many to view her choice of words in an even harsher light, sparking justified criticism from viewers. But luckily for Jayus, Acrello didn't take it as seriously as others did. He stayed chill and didn't interpret the boy comment with the same level of outrage many expected. He didn't escalate the situation, didn't go on a rant, and essentially let it slide, something that arguably saved Jayus from an even bigger wave of immediate backlash at the time.
Hey, I just saw this comment just now. Before I continue on with this video, I just want to make sure you're educated. It's actually wrong for a white person to call a black person boy, but I know you didn't mean it in a malicious way, so we can move on from that. Never planned on name dropping you, but you commented, so I'm gonna respond here. But thank you for telling me my career would die in 6 months. It just really took some grinding and dedication from within me, and motivation just really motivated me. And I gotta thank God upstairs, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in the position that I am today.
But even after that, the two continued going back and forth with each other. But honestly, it was a pointless drama with no real winner. And to be fair, in Jayus' defense, Acrello also crossed a major line. He posted a YouTube video accusing her of being a sex offender and a drug addict. Serious, damaging claims with absolutely no concrete proof. That kind of baseless accusation is unacceptable, no matter how much beef exists between creators. Jayus definitely made a mistake by engaging with the initial drama, but Acrello wasn't innocent either. Still, throughout all these back and forths, one thing stood out. Something subtle but telling. Jayus repeatedly referring to Acrello as this kid in her videos. And given the racial undertones of their previous interaction, calling a black man kid over and over again didn't go unnoticed. It added another layer of discomfort to an already messy situation.
He went through all my videos and nitpicked every little fucking thing I've ever said. He told people that I was a sex offender and a drug addict. So excuse me if I don't fucking like the— It's not that this drama was over in April, but since this kid doesn't remember how this ended up for him last time, we're gonna have to go through it again.
These words are racially sensitive, and given Jayus' massive platform and influence over a young, impressionable audience, she should have been way more careful with her language. But she wasn't, and surprisingly, she didn't receive any major backlash for it either. At this point, one thing was becoming very clear. Jayus' inability to handle criticism and her pattern of throwing fuel on every fire she touched wasn't just a one-off flaw. It was a recurring issue that would keep following her. And sure enough, that same behavior led her straight into another feud, this time with TikToker Jonathan Moss. The whole thing kicked off in July 2020, when Jayus posted a video accusing Jonathan of copying her content.
Information. I think it's okay for other creators to do fact videos. It literally does not bother me. I just think it's really weird when other big creators think it's okay to copy my video word for word and act like you didn't. Did you know that your birth month actually has a huge effect on who you are as a person and the things that could possibly happen to you?
Yo, did you know that your birth month actually has a huge effect on you and the things that can happen to you in your life?
People born in March are way more likely to have asthma, and I can actually speak to this one because my little sister, the only one born in March, has asthma.
That are born in March are actually more likely to have asthma, and I can speak to that because my cousin, the only person born in March.
But Jayus didn't stop at just accusing Jonathan of copying her content. She doubled down and escalated the situation by claiming that Jonathan had threatened her. But that bold move backfired almost immediately. Jonathan responded with his own video, calmly explaining that all the information he used was publicly available through Google, and that he didn't owe Jayus credit for something anyone could look up and use.
So OnlyJayus put on her Instagram, this dude copied my content more than once, and when she crowded me out, I threatened her and then deleted the comments. No, her video was in the bathroom, mine was outside, and I found the content off Google. What does your birth month say about you? And I found it, and I was like, oh snap, this would be cool. And then somebody sent me her video, and I was like, yeah, she made it. And then she got really aggressive. I said, hey, you made it first. That's fine. But then it started to get really bad. Like, people started sending me stop threatening and taking OnlyJayus content. You know what I'm saying? I was like, wait a minute, what is this? I never threatened her. I just said she gaslighted her fans, as in making her seem like the victim in a lot of things that she does wrong. She said, show me where I gaslighted my fans. And I said, I won't take any advice from a 14-year-old girl, and she started to go off.
After his response, the internet was split. Some people still took Jayus' side and left supportive comments like, in my opinion, you definitely did the right thing. He could have made a video on the same things, but I watched them both, and he literally copied everything, as well as the example of a family member having asthma. He's in the wrong here, not you. But overall, the tide was beginning to shift. What started as a simple accusation quickly morphed into yet another example of Jayus blowing things way out of proportion. And this time, the internet wasn't buying it as easily. People weren't just skeptical, they were openly mocking her for calling someone out over content she herself pulled from Google. It came off as hypocritical, petty, and just plain ridiculous. Comments started flooding in like, "This information is from a website. Why are you copying, you copier? I can't believe she said use your own sources when she literally uses Google like hundreds of other creators." Now, to be fair, there is absolutely nothing wrong with basing your content on Google. Plenty of creators do it. So in isolation, this controversy shouldn't have been that deep. Honestly, hating someone just for using public information as their source is probably one of the dumbest reasons to start drama online. But what did make this situation spiral out of control was Jayus' constant need to defend herself and address every single hate comment she saw. Instead of letting it die down, she poured fuel on the fire. She couldn't ignore the negativity, she never could. In an attempt to gain sympathy and explain herself, she went on Reddit and posted a long message, including the line, "I'm now getting a huge amount of hate. People saying I'm lying, I copied Google too, I'm problematic, I should be canceled, etc. I have a hard time dealing with the negativity. I still don't know what to do. I don't think I've done anything wrong. Maybe you do, but honestly, I don't see it." And this just made things worse. Because when you constantly give energy to hate, it multiplies. That's exactly what happened with Jayus. She wasn't being canceled over the Google thing, she was being dragged for how she handled it. The backlash was disproportionate, yes, but it didn't come out of nowhere. It was her own behavior that kept dragging her reputation down. Still, none of that compared to what was coming next. 6 months later, in February 2021, a screenshot of Jayus' DMs with another TikToker leaked, and this is where her downfall truly began. It all started when a former friend unfollowed her on Instagram, which apparently enraged Jayus. They got into a heated back and forth through private messages, and by the end of the exchange, Jayus had said the unthinkable. She called him a hard R lover, a disgusting racially charged slur, and she didn't stop there. She also said things like, "I hope your parents get cancer. I hope everyone you love dies." This wasn't just some edgy insult, this was full-on hatred. Jayus didn't just use a slur, she weaponized race as a tool to wound someone for loving a black person. It was a targeted, deliberate attack designed to hurt. And when you take that and pair it with her background, growing up in Bakersfield, a city known for its racial issues, it paints a much more disturbing picture. It was a pattern. Then things escalated even more when Jonathan Moss, the same TikToker Jayus had previously accused of copying her, came forward with receipts. He dropped actual screenshots of the DMs, proving everything. But instead of taking responsibility, Jayus denied it all. She claimed the messages were fake, photoshopped, fabricated to make her look bad. And that denial, it backfired immediately.
She denied it, straight up lied. When the proof was shown to her, she immediately backtracked and tried to apologize for something she tried to cover up.
The backlash was instant and massive. TikTok was flooded with videos, stitches, duets, some calling for accountability, others expressing disappointment, and many just flat out furious.
I don't know what Miss Little Thing thought she was doing, but she was like she was crying when we all know she wasn't. Admitting to the fact that when she said she thought that was the best jab to make at a person, she felt like loving a black person was so disgusting that was the best jab to make at somebody like us.
A slur is a slur, but to insult someone for being in a relationship with a black person by calling them a it does not get any worse than that. It is so hateful and it is so violent. Bro, a forced, fake, watered down apology will not cut that. Who child for you to be as intelligent as you are with your little psychology facts? That is some dumb
You would think in such a moment Jayus would step in quickly to address things, but strangely she went silent. 4 days passed before she said a single word. And in the world of internet controversies, 4 days is a lifetime. When Jayus finally returned on February 12, 2021, she posted an apology video.
In my past, I said disgusting things to people, and I am so ashamed of myself for using racist rhetoric and derogatory language to hurt others, because I knew what that word meant and I understood the power behind it, but I said it anyway because it was the meanest thing that I could think of, and I am so sorry to everyone, but especially to those in the Black community, because only you guys can forgive me for this.
Although Jayus appeared remorseful in the apology video, something immediately feels off about it. Her delivery feels overly rehearsed, almost mechanical, like she's reading from a script that was carefully prepared to minimize damage rather than genuinely owning up to her actions. Many viewers sense this too, highlighting how she spent a significant portion of the apology attempting to shift blame onto external factors, such as her upbringing or previous toxic environment, instead of fully acknowledging that her behavior was fundamentally wrong and hurtful on its own terms. In her apology, Jayus claimed she had denied the screenshots were real because she simply forgot how toxic and mean she used to be. According to her, she had changed so much over the years that she no longer recognized or remembered that version of herself.
I didn't even think that they were real because I forgot how hateful and how angry of a person I used to be, and it hurts my soul knowing that I said those things. But the screenshots and the things I've said in my past are not a reflection of who I am today.
But that apology didn't age well, because in a later Reddit post, Jayus not only contradicted herself, but also made people question the sincerity of the whole thing. She wrote, "In 2016, I got into an argument with someone. I don't remember the argument because he deleted his messages, but it was toxic and we were saying effed up shit to each other. I said the N-word, which is awful. I feel awful. There's no excuse for it. A couple years later, he sent me screenshots of it and I apologized. He accepted it and I thought we moved on until he decided to leak it." That statement completely undercut her earlier claim that the screenshots were photoshopped. If she had already seen them years ago, sent directly by the person she insulted, then how could she later claim they were fake? To make matters worse, the leaked screenshots matched the one she supposedly saw back then, meaning she clearly knew they were real. Her apology, already shaky, now looked flat out dishonest. And instead of dying down, the backlash intensified. People started demanding real accountability. One TikToker, Rafael Hernandez, even reached out directly asking her to clarify. Jayus responded with a voice memo, saying she used the slur because everyone in her hometown says it.
For one, I left my conservative town and went to college, and I moved to LA, and I got out of the little white bubble, and my school, everybody just said that word. There were people in the parking lot that had Confederate flags on their trucks, and the school didn't care. We only had 2 black kids. I did not grow up in a diverse environment, and then once I left that environment, it opened me up to a lot more experiences that changed my worldview completely. I've read so many books on racism. I'm reading How to Be Anti-Racist right now. I've read Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man, and I'm going to be reading the new Jim Crow.
To be fair, your environment growing up can have a huge influence. And the fact that Jayus was only 16 at the time led some people to give her the benefit of the doubt. But the more she spoke about the incident, the worse it got. Instead of owning it, Jayus started offering excuses that only fueled more backlash. At one point, she even blamed playing too many video games for her racist behavior, an explanation that came off as tone-deaf and laughable.
I am educating myself on this. I'm not a racist. I just said dumb shit in 2016 because I played too much Call of Duty, man. I don't know. I was a toxic piece of shit.
Many black TikTokers weren't buying her apology, and it wasn't just because of the leaked messages. Her history with other black creators had already raised red flags. One of the most notable examples was her repeated use of slurs while interacting with TikToker Acrello, which had already stirred up controversy in the past. So when this new scandal broke out, it didn't feel like an isolated incident, it felt like part of a pattern. That's why the backlash hit harder this time, with more people calling her out and demanding real accountability for behavior that had gone unchecked for far too long.
I said it anyway because it was the meanest thing that I could think of.
You're 21 now, and you were 16 then, so that would make it 2016. Obama had just finished his presidency, and the worst thing that you could think of was N-word lover. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how not to apologize. Anyways, most people on this app haven't done their work, sometimes myself included, to understand the sociological intricacies that make up the world that we live in. TikTok is a place of a lot of love. Yes, I see it. But the racism and the sexism and the ignorance that exists in the real world does not go away in a virtual one. In fact, in ways, it exacerbates it. And the people who benefit from the systems that exist in the real world benefit even more here. Namely, men and white people. A lot of people are like, oh, but she apologized. What's the big deal? The deal is that we're tired of seeing a system of privilege and we want change. And so when you have a situation that brings these hidden issues to the forefront and it's addressed like this, bro,
Despite all the backlash, Jayus had one clear path to redemption: collaborating with black creators to rebuild her reputation. After publicly promising to do just that, one of the first people to reach out was a TikToker known as Aunt Karen, whose content focuses on raising awareness about racism and social injustice. First, OnlyJayus promised Aunt Karen and the entire internet that she'd collaborate with black creators, supposedly using her massive platform to amplify black voices.
Take this time to take a step back and share my platform with some amazing black creators who are going to tell their story to try and educate others on the trauma that happens when we use this kind of language. I know that my words hurt people, and I know that my words have consequences, and that there is no immediate fix for my actions, but I am so deeply sorry for all the pain that I've caused.
However, 2 full months passed without Jayus fulfilling her promise, leaving Aunt Karen repeatedly reaching out to make this collaboration happen. Mind you, Aunt Karen herself had around 1.5 million followers at the time, making this collaboration a massive opportunity, perhaps even a necessary chance for Jayus to genuinely redeem herself. Aunt Karen's content primarily revolved around addressing racism, exactly aligning with what Jayus needed if she truly intended to address her past controversies seriously. Yet, Jayus' actions clearly demonstrated her lack of genuine interest in making the collaboration happen. It appeared increasingly obvious that Jayus viewed the promised collaboration as nothing more than damage control, a convenient talking point in her apology rather than a sincere attempt at change or reconciliation. This became crystal clear on April 15th, when a DM between Aunt Karen and Jayus leaked publicly. Aunt Karen said bluntly, "It's not even about you and me anymore. You told the black community that you would lift our voices and you haven't. Lift the voices you claimed that you would. That is what's important here. This must be done regardless of people believing you or not." Following this, Aunt Karen took matters into her own hands by hopping on TikTok and creating multiple videos calling out Jayus for ghosting her attempts at communication.
Are black people just tokens for you to use when you're ready to play? Because I can tell you one thing. If you were really truly sorry about what you said, you would not have lied and said you were going to do something you clearly aren't trying to do.
Jayus, responding afterward, sent Aunt Karen a voice memo apologizing, but notably blamed Aunt Karen for taking their personal issue public rather than messaging again privately.
You could have just hit me up again, but instead you decided to go public and try to add public pressure onto me, and that's not cool, so I don't want to collaborate.
Now, let's be clear, Jayus' apathy in following through is undoubtedly problematic. She promised accountability and then failed spectacularly to deliver. But it was a golden chance for genuine redemption, and Jayus outright dropped the ball. But we also need to point out the other side of the issue. Aunt Karen's approach wasn't entirely appropriate either. She made the collaboration heavily about herself, seemingly assuming Jayus was obligated to collaborate specifically with her rather than genuinely advocating for broader representation. But if the internet was already angry at Jayus, things quickly escalated even further when Jayus made an explosive response video directly targeting Aunt Karen, a clip that unsurprisingly ignited even greater backlash. In the video, Jayus angrily ranted about Aunt Karen's persistent posts, pointing out that Aunt Karen made 7 videos calling Jayus out, and emphasizing that the collab idea initially came from Aunt Karen herself.
Today's episode of What Are People Mad at Me For Now? Not checking my emails in a timely manner. I wish I was joking. I forgot to respond to an email from this creator that wanted to collab with me, and instead of just hitting me up again, they made 7 fucking videos about it! Can you please leave me the fuck alone? I have a diagnosed neurological disorder that makes me forget things and procrastinate due to time blindness. I forget to eat for days. I procrastinate sleep for more days. I barely text my family back, and I just Las Vegas to celebrate my 22nd birthday, and y'all can keep crying for my attention.
The rant spiraled downward rapidly as Jayus ended the video by disrespectfully saying she'd rather get drunk as F while people desperate for her attention kept crying about it. This dismissive outburst inevitably triggered massive criticism online, cementing Jayus as unapologetically arrogant in the eyes of her critics. Viewers felt disrespected, especially since Jayus' comments implied a complete disregard for the very real pain and anger people were feeling. But of course, in classic Jayus fashion, she fell back on her favorite excuse, ADHD. This wasn't new either. She'd already been blaming her ADHD for everything way before this. But during the Aunt Karen drama, she dragged it out again like it was her personal get-out-of-accountability card. She claimed her ADHD made her avoidant, made her forget to reply, made her freeze up. Basically, trying to paint the whole ghosting situation as some neurodivergent misunderstanding instead of what it actually was. Her just not giving enough of a damn to follow through on the promises she made. But this time, even the ADHD community snapped back. Other creators who actually deal with ADHD every day were calling her out hard.
As someone with ADHD, you do not get to blame every single ounce of your incompetence and your lack of consistency on ADHD. I find it funny because on 228, you said that no one wanted to collab with you. But when a black creator actually wants to collab with you, you just ghost her.
It was clear Jayus wasn't just trying to explain her behavior. She was using ADHD to dodge the entire conversation. And honestly, that pissed a lot of people off, because ADHD isn't some excuse to be a flake. Next, Jayus tried to spin the narrative again and failed. In another video, she popped up saying that despite all the drama, she's made more positive than negative, and that her platform overall is positive.
My platform, I've done way more positive than negative that a lot of you guys really don't want to give me credit for.
It came off as another attempt to dodge accountability. Instead of focusing on fixing what she broke, she wanted everyone to focus on how helpful her little psychology facts were. But nobody forgot what she did, and every time she tried to pat herself on the back, it only reminded people how far off track she really was. But just when you thought Jayus couldn't dig herself any deeper, another bombshell dropped. Remember that infamous screenshot from earlier? Turns out there was yet another slur hiding in plain sight. This time, she dropped the F slur, straight up homophobia. Now here's where things get even messier. Jayus publicly identified as a proud member of the LGBTQ+ community herself, regularly preaching inclusivity and love in her videos. People immediately called out this glaring hypocrisy. How could someone claiming to support gay rights casually drop one of the most derogatory anti-gay slurs imaginable? For many, this wasn't just offensive, it was outright betrayal. It suited her. Jayus tried to double down, reminding people repeatedly about her supposed inclusive stance and her identity. But at this point, people weren't buying it. Being gay doesn't magically erase homophobia, and claiming to support the community means absolutely nothing if you're out here using slurs in private conversations.
My favorite gay history facts. The original celebration of Christmas was this festival that was held in Rome, where men would strip down naked, play around, and bottoms would become tops and tops became bottoms.
But here's what's shadier about this whole thing. Jayus never actually apologized for dropping the homophobic slur. Sure, she gave a carefully scripted apology for the racist remarks, since that's where everyone's attention was focused. But when it came to this other slur, she conveniently stayed silent, like it never happened. It's pretty obvious why. People simply didn't press her hard enough about it. She saw an easy out, and she took it. But let's be real, just because people weren't laser focused on that specific slur doesn't mean she gets a pass. The silence itself says plenty. Jayus wasn't actually sorry, she was just sorry she got caught. Although she got plenty of backlash and hate from the internet, people were also calling out Jayus sponsors to cut contact with her, and one of the sponsors is Netflix. OnlyJayus used to host a podcast by the name Know It All. A well-known Chicago-based documentary filmmaker, Arlen Parsa, called out Netflix on his Twitter post to cut ties with Jayus. Not just Arlen, but plenty of other creators called out Netflix for collaborating with OnlyJayus.
They still support this all-out racist. Why should we support them? Netflix has a whole Black Lives Matter page. But do Black Lives really matter to Netflix? Or what?
Some days later, OnlyJayus announced that Netflix had officially cut ties with her. But it didn't stop there. She also revealed that every single one of her other sponsors had dropped her as well. brand after brand severed their relationship, cutting off what used to be her biggest sources of income and credibility. In just a matter of days, the image she built as a marketable, brand-safe creator completely collapsed. Despite Jayus's desperate attempt to ignore the entire situation by just moving on and making videos like nothing had happened, the backlash didn't fade, it only got worse. Things took an even sharper turn when a TikToker named Sean stepped forward, dropping a video exposing Jayus's behavior behind the scenes. According to Sean, Jayus herself had initially reached out for a collaboration, and Sean, genuinely believing she wanted to make things right, put countless hours of effort into making it happen. He even reached out and brought in other black creators, all eager and ready to join forces with Jayus, thinking they could turn something negative into genuine positive change. But in classic OnlyJayus fashion, after months of planning and preparation, she ghosted him completely. Not a single reply, leaving Sean unread and abandoning the project entirely.
The only black creator that was willing to build a bridge, meet someone halfway and say, hey, I'm willing to help you with this. Here are the plans. Let's do this together. Only for them to either leave you unread or say, we'll get to it later, or we'll do this some other time. To invest over 2 months of your own time into helping someone, trying to believe that they're not like this, trying to help them out. This creator burnt a bridge that I built 90% of, and I'm not gonna hold back on the I let.
And honestly, this was beyond disappointing. It was straight up disrespectful. After all the effort, after pulling other creators into the project, Jayus simply vanished, leaving Sean humiliated and frustrated. It showed a total disregard for the very community she claimed she wanted to uplift. But Sean wasn't done yet. He dropped an even bigger bombshell. According to him, during this whole messy process, he had introduced Jayus to another TikToker named Alexander. And this Alexander wasn't just any creator. He was essentially the ghostwriter behind Jayus's notorious apology video. The very same apology that many viewers had suspected from the start was scripted, overly rehearsed, and completely insincere.
I then tried to help him to the best of my ability while still being extremely angry and frustrated. Helped with a good bit of the apology, especially the part about black creatives. When we were both talking about that part in the apology, I really did think that they would hold up their end of the bargain, you know?
Sean's revelation confirmed what many had already speculated. Jayus's apology wasn't heartfelt at all. It was carefully scripted damage control, designed to save her career rather than genuinely acknowledging wrongdoing. This revelation didn't just spark outrage. It validated everyone's doubts and deepened the anger against Jayus, destroying any remaining shred of credibility she had left. Not long after this whole scandal, Jayus found herself in yet another controversy, this time upsetting a completely different community. In May 2021, she posted one of the most controversial life tips she's ever uploaded. In the video, Jayus told her audience that if a service dog ever approached them alone, it likely meant the owner was in danger, and then added that you should follow the dog and take the owner's wallet. That was the punchline. Steal from a disabled person in a crisis.
If a service dog ever approaches you but they're alone, that means that their owner's in trouble and they probably can't move, so you should follow him, because you'll get a free wallet.
No matter how you spin it, it was a sick thing to joke about. Even though Jayus later claimed it was just a joke and not that serious, the backlash was immediate and absolutely justified. Many people called her out, but the video that gained the most traction came from a TikToker with over 1 million followers who has a child that uses a service dog.
My child is phase gay. They are a service dog user. Why? Because, in fact, there are occasions when Faye may be incapacitated and her dog will need to get help. And this is not a kind of joke you want to be putting out there. It's not funny to anybody who uses a service dog. It is not okay, and there is no apology, there is no responsibility, there is nothing.
And to make it even more heartbreaking, the child themselves posted a TikTok calling the video deranged and disgusting.
So I'm here as a disabled person with a service dog. Here she is, clearly labeled, calling you out for what you did, which is super harmful. It is a constant fear for me and my community, for that when I am incapacitated, someone will take advantage of me. It has happened to me. It has happened to other people. It is constantly in news stories. And you do this to your millions of followers. You put it in a tips video.
But instead of apologizing or even acknowledging the harm, Jayus did what she always does. She doubled down. She didn't post a response video or take accountability. Instead, she insulted the person who called her out, calling them a dummy and telling them to read the caption. Let that sink in. She mocked a disabled person for criticizing her dangerous joke. No empathy, no accountability, just pure dismissal. At this point, Jayus wasn't just controversial, she was becoming downright mean-spirited. Around this time, a TikToker named Vanellope Von Adams decided enough was enough and started a petition to get OnlyJayus banned from the platform entirely. And this wasn't just some fringe effort, this petition exploded. Within just a few months, it had gathered over 400,000 signatures. That's nearly 500,000 people actively demanding she be removed from TikTok. The numbers alone spoke volumes about how far Jayus had fallen in the public's eyes.
The petition to save TikTok from the ban has 400,000 signatures, right? But the petition to ban me from TikTok has more. People wanted me off the app more than they wanted to save it. What?
But instead of taking it seriously or even showing a sliver of humanity, Jayus responded in the most arrogant way possible. She mocked the whole thing like it was a joke. In one of her now infamous responses, she said, "So someone started a petition to get me off TikTok. I am so scared. But for real though, this shit is funny. Good luck getting more than 13.5 million signatures, I guess." The smugness is real.
Only way that TikTok would ever ban me, I'll ban myself. I don't give a
She wasn't just brushing it off, she was flexing her follower count like that somehow made her untouchable. As if numbers would save her from accountability. As if being followed by 13 million people meant she was above consequence. That kind of arrogance is exactly what made people turn on her in the first place. It was the ultimate example of how Jayus never took any of it seriously. The slurs, the ghosting, the fake apologies, the offensive jokes, none of it seemed to matter to her. In her mind, she was still invincible, still the main character. What we've seen so far had definitely hurt Jayus and left a massive stain on her reputation. But fortunately for her, it didn't immediately tank her views. Despite all the backlash, the callouts, and even a petition with hundreds of thousands of signatures, Jayus was still pulling decent numbers. Her videos were still getting likes, still landing on people's For You pages, and for a moment it looked like she might actually ride the storm out. But then she made another mistake, one that dragged her even deeper. Around September 2024, a TikToker by the name Everyday Alex accused OnlyJayus of copying his content word for word.
Early you're gonna ask to bring like work home.
And inevitably your boss will ask, why the big change?
Just whatever it takes for your boss to come up and be like, what's up with this like sudden change?
I got the girl I'm seeing pregnant, and this has really been a wake-up call for me about how I need to be more responsible and make more money.
If you're a man, you're gonna be like, oh, I just got my girlfriend pregnant and it made me realize that I need to be like more responsible and definitely need to make more money.
And you'll tell him that you've discovered you can't have kids.
If you're a woman, you're gonna be like, oh, I just realized that I can't ever have children.
And you've realized you're gonna have to get more life satisfaction out of your career.
This is where I'm gonna get my life satisfaction from.
And they will give you the promotion without you even asking.
You guys are gonna get the job without even asking for it.
If you ever decide to have children, it'll look like a medical miracle.
You want to start a family, people are just going to see it as a medical miracle.
Hey, what happened with the kid? I haven't heard about him. I haven't seen any pictures. And you'll say, oh, there was a miscarriage.
If you're a guy, people are like, where's the baby? You can just be like, oh yeah, there was a miscarriage.
And that's how you make content.
The extreme unethical way.
As you saw in that clip, Jayus copied Alex's video word for word. Not paraphrased, not inspired, but line for line replication. And what makes this even more shameless is the irony. Jayus herself had been in this exact same situation before, except back then she was the one doing the accusing. She once publicly dragged another creator for allegedly copying her content and even tweeted this: TikTok creators should be called out when they copy other TikTok creators word for word. The hypocrisy's off the charts. But in classic Jayus fashion, instead of owning up to it, she immediately denied everything and brushed it off like it was no big deal.
I've never seen this page before. I've never seen this man. Like, maybe I've scrolling on him, but like, I don't follow him. I don't know him. I got this video from Reddit. Let's actually watch the comparison, because I think he put them side by side.
You don't have to be some FBI level investigator to realize that her explanation made 0 sense. Even if they both pulled from the same Reddit post, there's no logical way their videos would turn out exactly identical. Same structure, same sentence, same delivery. That's not a coincidence, that's plagiarism. And Alex wasn't just gonna let it slide. Days later, he made another video calling Jayus out again, this time offering a $10,000 reward to anyone who could find the Reddit post she claimed both of them used. That's how confident he was that the post didn't exist.
OnlyJayus stole one of my TikTok videos. I have the proof on my page. I called her out, she denied it, and said this, that we both got the idea from the same Reddit post. I am offering $10,000 to charity right now if she can send me the Reddit post. And if any of you on the internet can find the Reddit post, I'll give you $1,000 and we'll donate the other $9,000 to a charity.
Nobody could find it. Jayus didn't have it, not until she suddenly did, or so she claimed. Jayus went live on Twitch and tried to prove her innocence by showing a screenshot she claimed was the Reddit post in question. She said it had been deleted since, but conveniently she had a screenshot saved. But shortly after, Alex came back with receipts again, debunking the entire thing. Turns out, Jayus had straight up fabricated the evidence. She lied to her audience, hoping that a Twitch stream and a half-baked screenshot would make the problem disappear. But Alex exposed everything piece by piece, showing that the so-called Reddit script never existed the way she claimed.
This is where it gets crazy. We found how she got the rest of the screenshot. It turns out you can search Reddit for recent deleted posts. We used the script in the screenshot and saw that she commented it. She commented on a different subreddit where she thought nobody would see and then deleted it so that she had the convincing looking thing for her screenshot. She actually posted it twice because there's some typos in the first one. And then she changed the date on the screenshot, which you can do easily. I'll lay out all the proof. Fake scrolling.
There's gotta
You
be
know where
well
it is.
over, like, I found the screenshot. It's this one. And I took this screenshot March 20th, 2020.
The date thing is meaningless. Here's a fake post we made, and this is how easy it was for us to change the date. We used a program to check for modification, and you can see here the result is looks like computer generated or modified image. Now we're gonna prove how this screenshot is 3 screenshots of Reddit combined into one. The top part is a screenshot of this existing Reddit. The middle part with a script comes from a comment she made and then deleted. We use software that searches Reddit for recent deleted posts and found that someone named JSYT posted the full script on a subreddit called r/badfaketexts. She actually posted it and deleted twice because the first contained typos. On a recent video on my page, I have a screen recording of this so you know that it isn't doctored. Obviously, she did this so she would have a real-looking chunk of text she could use in her main doctored screenshot.
But here's the real kicker. Jayus didn't just copy Alex. After this drama blew up, more creators started coming forward with side-by-side comparisons showing that Jayus had copied several other videos word for word too. Different creators, same pattern. And after being caught red-handed not once, not twice, but multiple times, Jayus still hasn't responded. No apology, no explanation, nothing. And this was the tipping point. After years of scandals, excuses, and arrogance, people had enough. Her credibility was already hanging by a thread, and this exposed her for what many had long suspected. Someone who built her brand by ripping off others and trying to cover it up. From there, her career fell off a cliff. Nobody watches her TikToks anymore. The rise was fast, but the fall, brutal.